Welcome to College Briefing. The content of the briefing includes Chinese AI scientists call for stronger regulation ahead of landmark summit. The dangers of succeeding a star CEO. Cornell University student threatened to stab and rape Jewish students and shoot up school, prosecutors say. Not for the faint-hearted, cryptocurrency values have rebounded but remain well off market peaks. College football, top 25, week 10. Chinese AI scientists call for stronger regulation ahead of landmark summit. Financial Times. Chinese AI scientists and Western academics have called for stricter controls on the technology than those being proposed by the UK, US, and EU. Ahead of a global AI safety summit, the group signed a statement warning of the existential risk to humanity posed by advanced AI and called for the creation of an international regulatory body, mandatory registration and auditing of AI systems, instant shutdown procedures, and a 30% research budget allocation for AI safety. The joint statement differs from China's domestic AI regulations, which focus on content control and censorship. The dangers of succeeding a star CEO. Financial Times. When Ted Pick takes over as CEO of Morgan Stanley in January, he will face the challenge of living up to the achievements of his predecessor, James Gorman, who transformed the company into a financial advisory powerhouse. Gorman will stay on as executive chairman, but experts have warned of the risks of such transitions, citing examples such as General Electric and Disney, where the models of their successful CEOs were later discredited. Pick has said his appointment is not a change in strategy, but he will need to be wary of the temptation to make overpriced acquisitions to match Gorman's success. Cornell University student threatened to stab and rape Jewish students and shoot up school, prosecutors say. Yahoo! A Cornell University student has been charged with making online threats to kill or injure another using interstate communications, which carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison or a $250,000 fine. The student allegedly threatened to shoot up a campus building and said he would stab or slit the throat of Jewish men, and rape or throw off a cliff Jewish women he encounters on campus. He also said he would behead Jewish babies and threatened to bring an assault rifle to campus and shoot all you Jewish people. Not for the faint-hearted, cryptocurrency values have rebounded but remain well off market peaks. ABC. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are experiencing a rise in prices, with Bitcoin trading at over half its peak of $65,000 in late 2021. Market sentiment is a key driver, with the recent news that BlackRock has applied for a license to run an exchange-traded Bitcoin fund viewed as a positive signal. There have also been moves towards tighter regulation in Australia and abroad, with the Australian government proposing that crypto exchanges be subject to existing financial services laws. However, skeptics remain, arguing that cryptocurrencies are speculative and have no inherent income-generating asset behind them. College football, top 25, week 10. Yahoo! Week 9 of college football saw several surprising results and impressive performances. Kansas pulled off a major upset by defeating Oklahoma for the first time in many of their players' lifetimes. Cal nearly handed USC their third consecutive loss, while Georgia Tech piled up 635 yards in a win over North Carolina. Freshman QB Noah Fifita has helped turn a rebuilding season for Arizona into a probable bowl bid. Looking ahead to Week 10, there are several big matchups, including LSU versus Alabama, Washington versus USC, Missouri versus Georgia, and Kansas State versus Texas. The top 25 rankings have been impacted by the chaos of Week 9, with Georgia maintaining their position at the top. Washington and Florida State are competing for the final spot in the rankings, while Ohio State and Michigan prepare for a crucial matchup that could determine a spot in the college football playoff. The rankings also highlight the potential paths to the playoff for teams ranked 6 to 15. Oregon and Alabama have favorable routes, with fewer ranked opponents remaining in their regular seasons compared to Georgia and Washington. Oregon has a strong case to climb into the top 4 if they win out and secure the Pac-12 championship. Texas and Alabama also have chances to make the playoff if they can defeat Kansas State and Georgia, respectively. The top 25 also includes teams like Kansas and James Madison, who have impressed with recent victories. However, there is skepticism about USC's inclusion in the rankings, as they face a tough challenge against Washington's high-powered offense. Overall, Week 10 promises to be another exciting weekend of college football. For Malaysia's Anwar, Israel-Hamas war is both personal and political. Nikkei Asia. The war between Israel and Palestine has caused a significant reaction in Malaysia. Thousands of Malaysians have protested against the bombardment of Gaza. The Malaysian Prime Minister, Anwar Ibrahim, has called Israeli actions the height of barbarism. Despite being over 7,000 kilometers away from the conflict, Malaysia has a long history of supporting Palestine. The Palestine issue is close to Anwar's heart, with him supporting the Palestinian cause since his university days. Anwar said he condemns Israel's inhuman acts of aggression and described the situation as a heinous crime. The issue has become a contest between the ruling coalition, Pakatan Harapan, PH, and the opposition, Perikatan Nasional, PN. Both the government and the opposition need the Malay Muslim vote, with Anwar's ruling coalition receiving 15% of the Malay Muslim votes in the last general election. James Chin, professor of Asian Studies at Tasmania University, believes Anwar is doing something he believes in, but is also trying to gain support from the Malay Muslim demographic. Demand is high for Tasmanian medicinal cannabis, with more than 1 million scripts written since it was legalized. ABC. Tasmanian Botanics is capitalizing on the booming medicinal cannabis industry in Australia, with the company growing cannabis both inside and outside at its farm and processing facility in southern Tasmania. The company is set to triple production with a new 1-hectare greenhouse. The Tasmanian climate is well suited to growing medicinal cannabis, and the company is hoping to take advantage of the country's growing demand for the product. Cannabis is prescribed for a range of conditions, from chronic pain to anxiety and depression. Giza Great Sphinx likely sculpted long before time of ancient artists. The Independent. The Great Sphinx of Giza may have been shaped by wind movements long before it was sculpted by ancient Egyptian artists, according to a study published in the journal Physical Review Fluids. The study found that similar formations, known as yardongs, can be created by materials eroded by fast-flowing wind. The researchers created mounds of soft clay with harder materials inside, and then washed them in a water tunnel to replicate the effects of wind. The resulting formation bore a strong resemblance to the Sphinx, suggesting that ancient Egyptians could have encountered similar formations in the desert. Family speaks out after arrest of alleged killer in 33-year cold case. Yahoo! The family of Margaret Orozco Jackson have seen a step forward in the investigation into her death over 3 decades ago. Jackson's body was found in 1990 with a rope around her neck near the 10300 block of Scripps Ranch Boulevard. Officials said she was found in a similar manner and location to other homicides at the time. The San Diego Metropolitan Homicide Task Force, which looked into the case, was investigating 40 homicides of women sex workers that may have been killed by a serial killer or a suspect who targeted women in the industry. Infant mortality rate increases 3% in 2022, rising for first time in 2 decades, CDC. Yahoo! Infant mortality rates in the United States increased last year for the first time in 2 decades, according to new federal provisional data. Provisional data showed there were 5.6 infant deaths per 1,000 live births in 2022, which is 3% higher than the rate of 5.44 per 1,000 live births in 2021. The neonatal mortality rate, infant deaths at less than 28 days of life, also rose 3% from 3.49 per 1,000 live births in 2021 to 3.58 in 2022, and the post-neonatal mortality rate, infant deaths between 28 and 364 days of life, grew 4% from 1.95 per 1,000 to 2.02 over the same period. The U.S. infant mortality rate rose last year. The CDC says it's the largest increase in 2 decades. Yahoo! The U.S. infant mortality rate rose 3% last year, the largest increase in 2 decades. White and Native American infants, infant boys and babies born at 37 weeks or earlier had significant death rate increases. The CDC's report, published Wednesday, also noted larger increases for 2 of the leading causes of infant deaths: maternal complications and bacterial meningitis. Heisman Watch, Pac-12 quarterbacks improve odds with J.J. McCarthy, Michigan on bye week. Yahoo! Washington Huskies quarterback Michael Penix Jr. has retaken the lead in the Heisman Trophy odds. He replaces Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy as favorite for college football's most prestigious individual award. Penix Jr. had a strong game against Stanford, throwing 4 touchdown passes in a 42-33 win. His main rivals for the Heisman, McCarthy and Oregon Ducks quarterback Bo Nix, had byes this week, while USC's reigning Heisman winner Caleb Williams had a good game against Cal. Cigarette-style climate warnings on food could cut meat consumption, study suggests. The Guardian. Warning labels on food, similar to those found on tobacco products, could help consumers make more sustainable choices and reduce meat consumption, according to a study by academics at Durham University. The research found that warning labels, including graphic images, reduced the selection of meals containing meat by 7 to 10%. The Climate Change Committee has advised the UK government to reduce meat consumption by 20% by 2030 and 50% by 2050. The study suggested that warning labels could be an effective means of encouraging changes in eating habits to benefit the environment. Kyiv advances on two fronts as Putin's air defenses struck in Crimea. The Independent. Ukrainian troops have made advances in several areas, including near Bakhmut and Robotyne, according to the Institute for the Study of War. Geolocated footage shows that Ukrainian forces have advanced northeast of Kurdyamivka, and have also marginally advanced west of Robotyne. In response to the Russian invasion, Kyiv said it successfully hit a strategic object of the air defense system in western Crimea. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirmed its air defense systems destroyed 8 Storm Shadow cruise missiles over the peninsula. If confirmed, this would be the first time Ukraine has used the top-tier missile system provided by the US to hit targets on the Crimean coast. Russia has also bulked up its forces around the devastated city of Bakhmut and has switched its troops from a defensive posture to taking active actions, according to a Ukrainian military commander. Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan and Florida State top first CFP rankings. Washington Post. The Ohio State Buckeyes, Georgia Bulldogs, Michigan Wolverines, and Florida State Seminoles are the top 4 teams in the first college football playoff rankings for the 2023 season. Washington, the only other unbeaten Power 5 team, is ranked 5th. The rankings will be updated 4 more times before the final 4-team playoff is chosen on December 3rd. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the 6 Degrees world, bringing you the latest news from our interconnected world. Today, we discussed a range of topics, from the call for stronger regulation of AI in China to the challenges of succeeding a star CEO. We also covered stories about a Cornell University student making online threats, the rebound of cryptocurrency prices, college football matchups, the Malaysia-Israel conflict, the booming medicinal cannabis industry in Tasmania, the possible origins of the Great Sphinx, progress in a 33-year-old cold case, the increase in the U.S. infant mortality rate, the Heisman Trophy odds, the potential impact of warning labels on food, and the latest developments in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Now, let's dive deeper into some of these stories. The call for stronger regulation of AI in China highlights the growing concerns around the potential risks posed by advanced AI technology. While China's domestic regulations focus on content control and censorship, Chinese AI scientists and Western academics are advocating for stricter controls, including the creation of an international regulatory body and mandatory auditing of AI systems. This reflects the need for a global approach to AI safety to mitigate the existential risks it could pose to humanity. Moving on to the challenges of succeeding a star CEO, we see that Ted Pick, the incoming CEO of Morgan Stanley, faces the daunting task of following in the footsteps of James Gorman, who transformed the company into a financial advisory powerhouse. While Pick has assured that his appointment is not a change in strategy, he will need to be cautious of the temptation to make overpriced acquisitions to match his predecessor's success. History has shown us that the models of successful CEOs can be discredited, which is why it is crucial for Pick to chart his own course and not be overly influenced by Gorman's achievements. In the realm of technology, a Cornell University student has been charged for making online threats against Jewish students. This is a deeply disturbing and alarming incident that highlights the need for vigilance and swift action against hate speech and threats of violence. It is a reminder that we must continue to work towards creating a safe and inclusive environment for all individuals, both online and offline. Shifting gears to the world of cryptocurrency, we have seen a recent rebound in prices, particularly with Bitcoin trading at over half its peak value. While market sentiment and regulatory developments have played a role in this resurgence, skeptics argue that cryptocurrencies are speculative and lack an inherent income-generating asset. As the debate continues, it will be interesting to see how the future of cryptocurrencies unfolds and whether they can establish themselves as a stable and reliable form of investment. On a lighter note, let's talk college football. Week 9 delivered several surprising results and impressive performances, including a major upset by Kansas over Oklahoma and Georgia Tech's dominant win over North Carolina. Looking ahead to Week 10, we have some exciting matchups, such as LSU versus Alabama and Washington versus USC. The top 25 rankings have been affected by the chaos of Week 9, and teams like Georgia, Oregon, and Alabama are still in contention for a spot in the college football playoff. It's going to be a thrilling weekend of college football, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Now, I invite you, my esteemed audience, to share your thoughts and questions. What are your views on the call for stronger regulation of AI? Do you have any predictions for the college football playoffs? And what are your opinions on the recent increase in the US infant mortality rate? I look forward to engaging with all of you and hearing your unique perspectives. Remember, in the 6 Degrees world, your voice matters. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.